History often remembers laws, treaties, and court decisions. But sometimes, history turns on a moment when ordinary people refuse to remain silent. One such moment unfolded in 1839 aboard a Spanish ship named La Amistad. The year was 1839, and despite international agreements banning the transatlantic slave trade, the brutal practice continued in the shadows. In West Africa, hundreds of thousands were still being illegally captured, torn from their homes, and forced into the holds of ships bound for the Americas. It was a world where legal documents and treaties meant little against the powerful economic engine of slavery. For the 53 men captives aboard the schooner La Amistad, this global hypocrisy was a terrifying reality. They had been kidnapped from present-day Sierra Leone, smuggled into Cuba, a Spanish colony, and sold into slavery. Now, they were being transported from Havana to another part of the island, destined for a life of forced labor on sugar plantations. But their captors had severely underestimated their will to be free. The journey was one of despair, but within that darkness, a spark of defiance was ignited. The captives were led by a 25-year-old Min man named Cinqué, known to history as Cinqué. He was a rice farmer with a family, a man whose life had been stolen. On a stormy night, using a loose nail he had found, Cinqué managed to free himself and then the others. Armed with sugarcane knives found in the ship's cargo hold, they launched a desperate and violent revolt. In a chaotic struggle for survival, they killed the ship's captain and cook, seizing control of the vessel. They spared 2 of their captors, the ship's navigators, ordering them to sail east, back toward their African homeland. But the navigators had their own plan. By day, they would sail east as instructed, but by night, they would secretly steer the ship northwest, hoping to land in the slave-holding territories of the American South. For 2 months, La Amistad zigzagged across the Atlantic, its human cargo caught between a desperate hope for home and the treachery of their former masters. The ship eventually drifted north and was discovered off the coast of Long Island, New York. The arrival of La Amistad in the United States set the stage for an unprecedented legal battle. The Africans were taken into custody, and the case quickly escalated, capturing the nation's attention. It was a legal minefield. The Spanish government, citing a treaty with the U.S., demanded the return of their property, both the ship and the human beings on it. The ship's navigators also filed a claim for salvage rights. But a group of American abolitionists saw the situation differently. They argued that the men people were not property at all. They were free individuals who had been illegally kidnapped and had every right to fight for their freedom. The central question before the American courts was profound and deeply controversial. Were these Africans' cargo to be returned to their owners, or were they human beings who had acted in self-defense against illegal enslavement? The fate of Cinqué and his fellow captives now rested in the hands of a justice system in a nation deeply divided over the very institution of slavery. After a series of lower court rulings in favor of the Africans, the case reached the highest court in the land, the U.S. Supreme Court. The abolitionists secured the help of a formidable, if unexpected, advocate, former President John Quincy Adams. At 73 years old, Adams came out of political retirement to argue the case. In a powerful, 8-hour argument, he contended that the captives were not pirates or murderers. They were victims of a crime, born free and illegally enslaved, and their actions aboard the ship were a justified fight for their natural right to liberty. In March 1841, the Supreme Court delivered its historic ruling. In a 7-1 decision, the court declared that the men captives were free individuals. It affirmed that they had been illegally kidnapped and transported, and therefore, they were not and had never been legal slaves under Spanish law. They were free to return to their homeland. The Amistad case was not the end of slavery, not by a long shot, but its impact was immense. The revolt and the subsequent legal victory became a powerful symbol for the growing abolitionist movement in the United States and beyond. It challenged the moral and legal foundations of slavery, forcing a nation to confront the contradiction between its ideals of liberty and the brutal reality of human bondage. The story of Cinqué and the men and women of La Amistad is a testament to the enduring power of resistance, a reminder that the fight for justice often begins with the refusal of ordinary people to accept their fate. If you want more stories about slavery and its resistance, hit the like button and subscribe.